Hey, how's it going? It's Zach with 4 Ounces of Freedom here at Bassil Hafez, one half of the upcoming Fury FC 76 main event, fighting for the Welterweight Championship on the 17th?
February 17th, yeah.
On UFC Fight Pass. In a rematch from CFFC 94 in Philly. The event known when Plavik lost his finger, and that was, I think, everyone's news story for about a week and a half.
Yeah.
You are no longer out in Philly. You're out in Colorado now. A new team. You had one fight since then. You've had an injury as well. How are things on your end?
Things are going great, man. I had my reconstructive elbow surgery back in the summer and recovered really fast. And just been back hard training and with a new team and really, really enjoying the process and excited for this fight, man. I'm ready to show something new and, show that I'm in much better shape than the first time around.
And we were talking before I hit record about the first time around. You did say in a few interviews post fight that you knew you gassed out. I rewatched the fight about 3 times since we synced up on this call, and I mean you looked amazing the first round, and then just when you started maybe writing you off, you would snap back. I mean, there's a reason why that was the first 5-round championship to fight for CFFC, because it was even. Anytime you threw, he threw, you tried to submit him, he would pull something out of his bag, and just kept going back and forth. It really showed that you both were true black belts, and no matter where you guys were standing or on the ground, it was very even matched, and well deserved of the 5th round. So I know you did mention that you had different plans this time around. Let's not spoil that. Let's keep that for the fight itself. But what things did you take out of the first fight that you were going into the second fight without giving away game plan at all?
Yeah, I mean, the first fight, like I mentioned, I wasn't in the right shape. Something I didn't really talk about a lot, but, I was not in the best shape when I went to Colorado, only for, 4.5 weeks for the fight to train. And then 2 weeks into training, I ended up tearing cartilage in my ribs and had to basically sit out from sparring, from all live training. And so I really only had 2 weeks of preparation for that title fight. And in my head, I kind of had some arrogance of like, whatever, I'll get him out in the first round and it'll be fine. And that's ignorance on my part. A lot of fighters, we have that. Sometimes we are a little overconfident because every fighter is confident in himself and going into a fight mostly. They should be. And so I was a little overconfident and underprepared, I think. And so I think that's going to be the biggest difference between this fight and that fight is the shape I'm in now versus the shape I was in for that fight. 2 weeks of training versus having a full 2-month camp with already being in pretty good shape before the 2-month camp started. I'm excited to show that the first fight was not the true Bassil and not really, how I like to fight or, how the shape I want to be in when I step into the cage. So this is going to be a whole different time around with how I'm going to be performing in the cage. If it goes all 5 rounds, I'll be 100% ready this time. I'm not going to have to just grit it out and show my heart. I'm going to show that my athleticism is going to be there as well, and my fight IQ is going to be there, instead of just trying to get a first-round finish and get out of there quick.
Yeah, I mean, and looking at that now, too, is there a different idea going in knowing this could be 5 rounds versus it normally being 4 rounds the last time you two fought?
No, I mean, so...
Or is it...
Yeah, I mean, I think I dominated him in what I did last fight. I'm not going to really switch too many things up. I'm just going to show that I'm in better shape, fight smarter, go for things at the right time. This time I'm ready to, if I can get him out in the first round, then amazing. If I get him in the 5th round, great. But this time I'm going to show that I'm in much better shape to go the 5 rounds. I know last time I showed a lot of heart. I mean, he had me in some deep. I had him in some deep submissions. He had me in some deep submissions. We both showed that we're high-level black belts and that we're hard to submit, no matter what. We both have the heart and the toughness to be able to not give up in the cage and show that you got to put us out. So I respect that about him. I know he's tough, and I'm excited to get in there with Evan again, man. I like a guy who's tough like that. Easy fights are easy fights, and he's not an easy fight, but I'm going to show that I'm much tougher this time around, and it's going to be harder to beat me this time, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's also been on, after your fight, he fought Johan, and Johan took that fight and is now in the UFC. You just came off a fight with a former UFC fighter. Anthony Ivy, I believe his name was. I think
Yep.
I missed the first name.
No, that's it. No, Anthony.
Okay, I was like, I thought I knew it, but I tend to forget first names or last names. Last interview, I forgot first name as a whole. And he's on like a 4-fight win streak now, all like by finish, all first, second round. So it kind of shows what his game plan is probably going to be too. He probably also wants to, as well, show that he's progressed since the fight in 2021. We're now not full 2 years out, but with the landscape, we can say 2 years, because I think fighting and shows and events are now kind of back to normal. There's not as many strange setups, be it the fan setup or the endless testing you guys have to go through before you even get into the building, and then another test before you even walk out. It seems to be back to normal on the fighter's end.
Definitely.
Just get your medicals and you're good to go.
Less COVID testing.
It seems back then, I think, I was talking to fighters, and it was like you had to get tested twice before fans could even walk in, and you had to be 2 negatives before you can even walk into the dressing room. And
don't have to wear a mask on the walkout. All the other protocols. Yeah. I mean,
it was. To
be honest,
it was so weird.
Yeah, to be honest, that stuff didn't make a huge difference. As a fighter, we always have to deal with protocols we got to do beforehand, whether it's our blood testing, our eye testing, or drug testing, or different kind of testing and things we got to do. And not every promotion is all about making it easier for the fighters, especially in Pennsylvania when maybe Greg Serb shows up 2.5 hours late to weigh-ins. So there's always going to be some kind of hiccup or something that gets you in your own head, but at the end of the day, an experienced fighter can just kind of zone out all the things that are happening, prep before the fight that they kind of make you do, and just really focus on the task at hand. And I think obviously as I've been fighting and been in the game a lot longer, I've been able to get better at kind of zoning those things out and just focusing on what the task at hand is, and that's getting in the cage and fighting my ass off and making sure I get my hand raised at the end.
Yeah, I mean, Pennsylvania we're definitely unique. Be it the commission itself, and the judging is even stranger. I mean, judging is pretty bad nationally, if not internationally, but I've heard a lot of fighters point out just how confusing some PA judging is, where they're afraid to do 10-8 rounds a lot of times. I mean, I've been behind commission people who asked me what was going on in the fight, because they understood PA is still strictly boxing for the most part.
Yeah.
They understand the stand-up, but once it goes on the ground, they don't know who's winning.
It's I feel like it's boxing, but then the people that the judges that work in the commission, they know mainly just wrestling. They don't know a lot of jiu-jitsu, judo, or I would say the martial arts backgrounds other than boxing or wrestling. It's very simple, and I think that's a lot throughout the country. I think in my opinion, the only states that really understand the true aspect of mixed martial arts and true fighting with MMA are states that do a lot of events and they have a lot of turnover, and so they end up getting guys that are more old school out of there and bringing in more new school, places like Nevada and sometimes LA or Cali. Sorry, not LA, but mainly California. But some states like that, New York, where they made a big change in the past couple of years to try and get more toward the new age type of idea of understanding MMA. But there are some states that are still behind. Florida, Pennsylvania, random states throughout the country. So I think it's only a matter of time before it's going to eventually get more saturated with those states as well. And, all the guys that are there before, the old heads, as we call them in East and Philly, old heads get out of there, and then all the new guys come in and are under more understanding of how the sport works and the way to judge it. So it's going to take some time, but it'll happen eventually for sure.
It's always interesting. I know fighters who will fight differently when they come to Philly than they do Florida, Mississippi, North Carolina. They've been at least in Philly enough to know the strangeness that can occur.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, this upcoming fight is in Texas, which is also not very great with judging.
No.
So I think another reason to not let it go to the judges would be, the lovely judging known from the Texas Commission.
Yeah, I mean, my first my fight with Anthony Ivy, that was my first fight in Texas. I mean, Anthony was tough, and I kind of guessed a little bit in the third round, but I don't know in any way how that was a split decision, and it was a split. So, that's something that confused me. I might try and talk to the judges beforehand, say, what do you look for? Like, because, I feel like I was obviously the first 2 rounds to 2 knockdowns and control on the ground. And the third round he got in a 10-9, I would say, just because I gave up a takedown. But I don't know how that gives him. I don't know how one judge saw he won the fight, which confused me. And that's the one thing I was a little hesitant to want to take the fight in Texas. But regardless, that's not going to change what I think I'm going to do in the cage. And fighting smarter and even being in better shape than I was my last fight with this new team I'm with. And regardless, got to go in there and get my hand raised and win that belt back.
Yeah, and also, it also adds to the storyline going to Texas this time too. Mm-hmm. He came to Philly the first bout. You're now in his home. So when I saw that, I was like, that's a nice little storyline.
Yeah, Philly Dallas rivalry,
Yeah, I mean, they're used to losing, so it works out.
You said it.
So, I mean, great storyline leading into it. Great first fight. Like I said, it was pretty even. I agreed with it going 5 rounds. I thought it was 2-2. Just because, it was even matched. There was definitely rounds that you would say this is a 10-9, this is a 10-9, one way or the other. And then even, in Philly too, one judge, I don't know how it worked out with, not dissing you on it, but they gave you 3 rounds or 4 rounds to 1. And I was like, how does that go to...
Oh, they gave me 4 rounds to 1. I mean, I thought, so even, and look, I'm not gonna say this out of I'm trying to gas myself up, but I really do believe that I personally was winning going into the 5th round because the rounds that he went for submission, I got out. There was only 1 round. The other one wasn't really a submission that he went for. I took him down every round. He didn't take me down once. I personally think taking someone down is more of a score than someone's getting a sweep on you at the end of the round and then you getting up. I don't think that is the same as a takedown because that's just my opinion. But regardless, it went the way it did. I definitely thought I lost the 5th round. Basically, when I fell for that heel hook like an idiot and gave him the top position and then was so gassed that I couldn't stand up, which I've never been that tired before in my life, where I was just like, I cannot use my own body weight to get up right now with him on me. And that has never happened to me. I've never been that tired. So it just goes to show how out of shape I was for that fight. But, I do think he won the fight regardless. I'm not one of those people who are going to say, oh, man, it should have been split my way. No, I believe he won, and I believe it came down in the 5th round. And, I own that. I own that, take responsibility for that, and that's what's really fueled me to make sure that I'm ready for this fight coming around. This is going to be a much different fight.
Yeah, and I mean, this is definitely, I think you're both right on the cusp. I mean, that welterweight title in the Northeast with CFFC has been pretty much the ticket to the UFC. When you look at who's held it and how quickly, a lot of them haven't even had to defend it. They pretty much won it and then late fill in right after.
Yeah.
Fury FC, they're getting there. Not as quick of a turnover, but they usually even have people, Mick or Sean, at the events as well. So it's always, helpful to win in front of them versus just hoping they catch it on Fight Pass.
Yeah, it'd be cool if they're there this time.
Because I know that I think Mick was just at last week's event, which was nice to see because it's one of those people only seem to think when Dana's looking for a fight, that's when you have to really go out and perform. But these guys do watch.
And you got to impress the matchmakers. That's a big thing. It's not just about Dana. Dana's obviously a huge role of the UFC and a key part of it, but you got to impress the matchmakers because they're the ones that are setting up the fights. They're the ones that are really vouching for each fighter to fight whatever fight they set them up with. And so, yeah, I'm a big believer in it's not just about one person. You have to impress the matchmakers. You have to impress the organization. You have to impress the fans. If the fans don't like you, then the matchmakers, where their hands are tied, they're not going to want to put somebody in the fans don't like. So, and I feel like I've always done that when I've gone out. I always try to impress with with my fighting style and my heart. I've never been finished. I don't believe I will get finished. That's just knock on wood, but it's a big belief of mine because of my grit, my heart, my determination, my experience on the ground with, not believing I will get submitted with my submission defense. These are all my beliefs and I continue to believe them and I continue to fight that way. So my goal is to go out there and put on a fight that the fans want to watch. Even the first fight, look, if you're into the full scope of the sport, then you'll be impressed with my submission escape and Evan's submission escape ability, you know, with overall, with the grit and the heart that I showed, no matter how tired I was. But maybe I wasn't the smartest in my striking, and I didn't make it a full mixed martial arts fight. And so that's one thing that I've really changed when I moved out to Colorado, and especially training with Elevation Fight Team and Pound for Pound and Catharo Jiu-Jitsu. Like, I'm really improving my overall MMA game. And when I first came out here and fought, it was only out here for really 4.5 weeks and wasn't really a true showing of what I'm kind of switching over to. And my last fight with Anthony Ivy was a good example of what I'm starting to do more of, focus on striking, but also mix in the ground game. And it really depends on each fight as well. You know, every fight calls for a different game plan. And so, but overall, I'm really trying to show that, look, I'm hard to submit. I'm hard to knock out. I got a tough chin. I'm working my hands. I have good boxing. I have good technique. I have good jiu-jitsu. My idol growing up is GSP. So, like, you know, I want to be a full mixed martial arts fighter. And that's what I've always strived to do. That's what I sacrificed, moving away from all my friends and family and everyone I know to come here by myself to train and focus on my career because, you know, like, I'm giving it all I can. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I believe it's going to, and I believe the changes I've made are going to show in the cage.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I was able to at least watch some of your older fights while you're in my region still. And like I said, watching the last 3 fight, I said 3 times, and each time it was like, yeah, it needed a 5th round. And I'm hoping to see. I don't want to say I want to see you guys go all 5 rounds again. I would like to see, obviously you. I'm going to go with the hometown. Kind of push the pace and get the win back. That also adds another storyline to it too, because at that point, then do you guys fight a 3rd time, or depending on how you win, does that just end it there? But no, I think getting the title here. This would be your 2nd title. I think you had one in Maverick.
Yes, I won Maverick welterweight title a while back, and then I won the CFC title. This will be my third. This is my 3rd title. Yeah, so Maverick, CFC, and then now Fury. Yeah.
And this is a vacant title, right? This is not like he's defending.
I think he is defending. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he won it.
Yeah,
last fight, or I don't know. Honestly, I'm not sure with that.
I kept going back and forth, and they don't really update their website as well. And even on Tapology and all, it's not listed as title fights before.
That's weird. Yeah.
I don't know if it was one of the situations where like he won in between someone getting signed, or
I think his last fight was against a Factory X fighter that I trained with, Austin Jones. I don't know if that was a title fight. Mm-hmm. If that wasn't a title fight, I think it was. But if not, then it's vacant, I guess. But if it was, then he did beat Austin, so that would make him the welterweight champion of Fury. Either way, I'm treating it like he's the welterweight champion, like he's the hometown guy. It's set up for him. It's not set up for me, so I'm going to come in there and spoil the show.
That's always adds to the excitement as well. So, I mean, we touched on the fight. We touched on the previous fight. We touched on you changing your entire location. Colorado is a lot different than Philly. Not just in elevation, but at least out here when it snows, we at least know is it going to snow out there. You can have a nice day and then a blizzard at night.
Yeah, it's crazy with that.
So, I mean, we're just wrapping up. Any sponsors you want to shout out? Any people you want to shout out? Anything else you want to say, promote?
Yeah, I mean, I want to thank all my sponsors. I have a huge list here of sponsors that I want to thank. Blade & Badger Barbershop, Adam Olson, Fitness, Technical Air Solutions, Dependable Solutions, Delco Steaks, MyFit Foods, JB Health Associates, Place of Peace, BJJ. Then my training, who I've been doing my training with out here, I've been doing it with Barwis for my strength and conditioning, Elevation Fight Team out of High Altitude Martial Arts for my MMA training, Pound for Pound Muay Thai with Justin Houghton for my striking, Easton BJJ. I've been going to Logos, so I want to thank them as well. Catharo, Steve Hordinsky is my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach for this event, so I want to thank him and thank Catharo Jiu-Jitsu. And then I want to thank the guys at Onyx for, giving me great training. Trevor Whitman and them for letting me join the room with, those world-class guys in there. So, man, I'm really leveling up. I'm excited for my next fight. I want to thank Sheath too, because they always give me some cool boxers and take care of me at fight time. So thank you, Sheath, as well.
Awesome. And I guess I'll throw one last question since you are a Philly kid.
Yeah.
Best cheesesteak.
Ooh, best cheesesteak. Man, I got to go with, I got two spots, and they're both not in the city. Everyone's going to say Angelo's because it's in the city, and Dave Portnoy gave it the review he did. But I'm going to go with Westchester Pizza Cafe because it's my brother. He runs that pizza shop. Best pizza and best cheesesteaks in outside of Philadelphia and area. And then Delco Steaks, they're starting to grow actually and get in the stadiums, and they're in the city more. Delco Steaks is a huge sleeper that's sneaking up and taking competition. So Delco Steaks and Westchester Pizza Cafe. And then I eventually want to get Dave Portnoy to go out there to my brother's pizza shop and do another review because I think he gave him a really modest score. And I think my brother's pizza is the best pizza in the East Coast. And I will stand behind that. I'll meet anybody there that wants to have a pizza and we can talk about it. If you're in the area in Westchester too, you got to get out there. Westchester Pizza Cafe in Westchester, Pennsylvania.
I've driven 3 hours for pizza, so I'll definitely add it on the list.
You say the word. I'll tell my brother. I'll make sure he makes you out good pizza and good cheesesteaks.
Awesome. Yeah, I had a pop up in Bristol, and I was told it was the best pizza, and up till today, it is still the best pizza I ever had.
All right, well then I'm ready to change that. My brother makes a really good pizza, man. He puts a lot of time into it. He's been making. Well, I grew up in the pizza business, I should say. So he's been making pizza our whole lives. And he's really been perfecting his formula. His dough is on point. Uses good sauce, good cheese, great oven. I think it's good pizza. People know good pizza is a mix of a bunch of things. It's not just one thing. And I think he does all the things right. So I want to get you out there.
All right, I'm adding to the list.
Oh man,
awesome. Thank you for the chat. Good luck on the fight. I'll be tuning in. I know there's I think another title fight on that card as well. It's a great card for everyone to watch.
Yeah, man. And
it's on it's like a Friday. So like, what else are you doing on a Friday night?
We got an Arab in the main event. We got an Arab in the co-main event. So we got Arab community winning some belts on that day. I'm excited. But Zach, thank you for the interview, man. 4 Ounces of Freedom. Appreciate you guys taking the time to talk to me.